Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to BookTube at War. This is a new BookTube event debuting this year. It was thought up by a viewer, DDB, and made into a BookTube event by Michael K. Vaughan. And I've been having a blast with it. As you can tell from the title, it's all about military literature, whether it's fictional military, science fiction, or fantasy battles, or the real thing, fiction or nonfiction. And I've always loved this stuff anyway, so I've been having a blast with it, sort of doing my usual approach to BookTube events by spinning the wheel and adding something to my night's reading. Last night was a little bit different, as will happen in the life of any working writer. Especially if writing is paying the bills, you will be spinning plates, and every once in a while, everything will converge. All of a sudden, you will realize in the span of 12 hours that you suddenly have 10 times as many plates as you thought you did. And when that happens, you have to shorten sail. You just have to do it, because the alternative would be to miss a deadline. And let's remember Steve's rules of writing, Steve's rules of reviewing. Never miss a deadline for any reason whatsoever, under any circumstances imaginable. So I had to shorten sail. I had a whole bunch of grandiose ideas for BookTube at War last night, but last night had to be given over mostly to work, which feels a little bit weird to say because it's also joy. It's work, but it was not a grind. But I did read a book for BookTube at War. I don't want to let the side down since I missed a few days this month. I did read a book, but it was short. It was fascinating. I've had it sitting, but I haven't actually got to it. It's Robert Duckerley, and this is The Battle of Kings Mountain, eyewitness accounts. There you have an illustration there of a key battle in the American Revolution. It took place on October 7th, 1781, in the South Carolina backcountry on Kings Mountain. And it was a complete colonial victory. Not grudging, not seen in comparison to something else. It was just a complete victory. The British and the native royalist contingent, the contingent on the other side, were completely beaten, captured, killed, wounded. It was a rout. It took a while, and it was a hard fought thing, but it was a complete colonial victory, and that victory was absolutely crucial. Because the force that the freedom fighters, the guerrillas for the colonies, the force that they defeated in 1781 was a large part of General Cornwallis's left wing, which meant that the victory. I know that drawing direct lines of causation like this is a little tricky, but the victory at Kings Mountain, you can go straight from there to Cornwallis' surrender. In an almost unbroken straight line, you can do that. It's very convincing to do. And this is it's a history of the Battle of Kings Mountain, but it's mainly an oral history. And that is very rare that will even be possible to do. But there were a lot of witnesses to Kings Mountain. A lot of them wrote accounts. A lot of them got interviewed and, told people as much as they could remember. Far more so, I think, probably than any other military engagement in the American Revolution. So you can have a big book of eyewitness accounts. You're not going to be straining with one or two, miserable little accounts maybe that are a little bit contradictory. That's not going to happen here. So this was... I never really thought that I needed to get to this because there's a classic book on the Battle of Kings Mountain. We've seen it on this channel. There's a classic military history of it, just a straight-up traditional battle analysis. And I always thought, well, if I've read that, I probably don't need to read this. But this was fascinating. I found it fascinating in particular because of where the eyewitnesses disagreed over the nature of the fighting, the loudness of the fighting, that sort of thing. Little tiny disagreements cropped up here and there, as will happen, right? I'm not trying to posit that the Battle of Kings Mountain did not happen, but I found it fascinating. I found the little discrepancies to be fascinating. So not a big book. If you are not a big book, and also not a necessary one. Even I am the first to admit that. Not a necessary one. if you're very much interested in the American Revolution, especially the battle side, the military side, you have to know about the Battle of Kings Mountain. Just like you have to know about the Battle of the Cowpens. You have to know about both. You have to know about all the pivotal battles, whether they're colonial victories or colonial defeats. But the standard military history of this battle would be enough. And I don't mean to turn every video that I make these days into a call for some book that doesn't exist yet, but it would be really nice. It's been about 70 years since somebody did a gigantic, really readable, popular history of the Southern theater of the American Revolution. That would be really nice. It'd be really nice if we could get another book on that subject, a huge book on that subject. It would be fantastic. This would form a key part of that book. But for now, this was just, it was a little thing. It didn't take any time at all to read. And that's just as well, because I didn't have much time on my dance card. But that'll be different tonight. By the time the sun goes down today, I will have knocked off every duck in the row. And then I will be fine to progress with BookTube at War. So I might do something big tonight to celebrate, something that ironically will not result in a video, because if I pick a big book, I'll need a couple of nights to do it. If I'm going to do any other kind of reading, probably I will need a couple of nights to get through something. We shall see. I might pick a small thing, just so I have something to talk about with you tomorrow, but that's your thing today. A big book of eyewitness accounts of an American Revolution battle. Pretty interesting for BookTube at War. I wish I had that big Southern theater military history. I mean, I have plenty of military histories of the battles of the American Revolution. There have been countless examples of that sort of thing. But I'm talking not so much battle by battle and here are the troop movements and whatnot, as a narrative thing, something that tells the story of the Southern theater. That would be great. Maybe there's one in the works. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up for now. A very quick video for BookTube at War, because I didn't have much time to spare for warfare last night. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.